This is a Fox News Alert. I'm Brett Baer in Washington. Thousands of bullets, a dozen pipe bombs, some attached to remote-controlled cars, a trip to the Middle East, and social media communication with known Islamic jihadists who the FBI was tracking at one time. New details are coming to light as President Obama again used yesterday's horrific mass shooting to push his gun control agenda today. But even the president is acknowledging that the massacre of 14 people in San Bernardino, California Wednesday may be an act of terrorism. We have Fox team coverage tonight. Carl Cameron in Washington with what Republican presidential candidates are saying. Peter Doocy at the White House, where gun control, not terrorism, appears to be the focus so far. But we begin with senior correspondent Adam Housley live in San Bernardino again tonight. Hello, Adam.
Hello, Brett. We've learned actually from investigators that they believe that Saeed may have contacted jihadi-type organizations through social media. They do not know the extent of that contact at this hour, but they do believe that contact did happen, and they are investigating the depth of that contact. Meantime, it comes as the government of Saudi Arabia does admit that he and his wife visited the country last year for 9 days, but they will not say that his wife was a Saudi citizen.
We still don't have the motive.
More than 24 hours after Wednesday's shooting rampage that left 14 dead and 21 injured, there are still more questions than answers.
This is not your average investigation. We have multiple scenes, we have many victims, and it will take time.
Witnesses say Saeed Farouk abruptly left a holiday party for the county health employees at the Inland Regional Center. And when he returned, the 28-year-old county restaurant inspector and his wife, Tashfeen Malik, were dressed and prepared for battle with legally purchased weapons.
The suspects, when they entered, fired somewhere between 65 and 75 rounds from their rifles. However, on their person, on their body, and in the vehicle, they had over 1,400 .223 caliber rounds, and they had over 200 9mm rounds on their persons as well. There appears to be a degree of planning that went into this. Nobody just gets upset at a party, goes home, and puts together that kind of an elaborate scheme or plan to come back and do that.
Some of that planning apparently beginning at a home in Redlands that the two had been renting for the past 6 months.
The search that took place revealed that there were 12 pipe bomb devices found in that house or in the garage to that house. There were also hundreds of tools, many of which could be used to construct IEDs or pipe bombs.
If you look at the amount of obvious pre-planning that went in, the amount of armaments that he had, the weapons and the ammunition, there was obviously a mission here.
The FBI also analyzing digital media taken from the home, along with how the two had met and where they'd traveled. Malik, who came to the U.S. from Pakistan in 2014, was here on a K-1 visa. That requires marriage within 90 days of arriving.
We know there was some international travel. They both came into the U.S. in July of 2014. They have since had a baby together.
The FBI has yet to rule whether or not this is terrorism.
It would be irresponsible and premature of me to call this terrorism. The FBI defines terrorism very specifically, and we are still, that is the big question for us, is what is the motivation for this?
Like today, we're also learning, Brett, the victims' names, of course, as well as those injured. Loma Linda Medical Center saying they still have 2 patients in critical condition, and the 2 officers injured are said to be in stable condition. Brett?
Adam Housley live in San Bernardino. Adam, thank you. The suspects had not even been confronted by authorities in that shootout, nor had the victims been identified before President Obama linked the shootings to America's gun laws, with no mention of possible Islamic terrorism. Today, he concentrated on the former and only hinted at the latter. Correspondent Peter Doocy is at the White House tonight.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Today, after huddling with his national security team, President Obama announced it's unclear why a couple in California carried out a coordinated attack.
It is possible that this was terrorist related, but we don't know. It's also possible that this was workplace related.
Despite that mystery, the president said he knows how to stop future attacks similar to San Bernardino.
Common sense gun safety laws, stronger background checks.
Does the president really think that common sense gun laws would deter terrorists now that he has admitted these 2 may have been terrorists?
Yes.
But so the president thinks that when there are potentially 2 terrorists sitting around planning a mass murder, they may call it off because President Obama has put in place common sense gun laws.
We're still learning of the precise motives of the individuals who carried out this heinous act of violence yesterday. One thing we do know is that the 4 firearms they were wielding were legally purchased under the laws that are in place now.
But Republican lawmakers aren't so sure the president is seeing the whole picture.
I've supported background checks for a long time. I continue to support them. But the problem that we witnessed yesterday appears to be a domestic terrorist, and that's something we really ought to be focused on.
The president is also trying to make a broader point now about sky-high shooting stats.
We have a pattern now of mass shootings in this country that has no parallel anywhere else in the world.
But when you define mass shooting as causing 4 or more deaths in public and subtract gang or terrorist-related incidents, mass shooting rates in the U.S. are about the same as Europe, according to the Crime Prevention Research Center. So the president's critics are expressing a familiar frustration.
His instinct is always political. It's not presidential.
Today, the White House also insisted they've been working with Muslim leaders to try and discourage vulnerable young Americans from becoming radicalized. But when asked exactly who is involved in that effort, officials here couldn't name anybody. Brett?
Peter Ducey live on the North Lawn. Peter, thank you. While the president and Democrats are pushing the gun angle, Republican presidential hopefuls are talking terrorism. Chief political correspondent Carl Cameron reports from a major conference of candidates and donors.
The Republican Jewish Coalition Presidential Forum drew all the GOP candidates. They promised to defend Israel, destroy Islamist terrorism, and decried the San Bernardino attacks.
This horrific murder underscores that we are at a time of war.
We need to come to grips with the idea that we are in the midst of the next world war.
Well, if you think that shooting in California is about gun control, then you don't understand what's going on in the world.
If it looks like a duck and quacks like a duck and sounds like a duck, maybe it's a duck.
Donald Trump had no doubts about it.
Radical Islamic terrorism. And I'll tell you what, we have a president that refuses to use the term. He refuses to say it. There's something going on with him that we don't know about.
Marco Rubio, in promising to defend Israel, took a shot at Trump for telling the Associated Press he questions Israel's desire for peace.
Some in our own party, in the news today, have actually questioned Israel's commitment to peace. Some in our own party have actually called for more sacrifice from the Israeli people. They are dead wrong, and they don't understand the enduring bond between Israel and America.
Trump got booed for refusing to say Jerusalem should be Israel's capital as part of a Mideast peace deal, and said while he'd like to broker peace between the Israelis and Palestinians, he's not sure either side is ready.
I don't know that Israel has the commitment to make it, and I don't know that the other side has the commitment to make it.
Where Trump was himself non-committal, Mike Huckabee, an ordained Baptist minister, was not.
The United States needs to finally make the definitive statement of who it's taking sides with and move its embassy to Jerusalem and once and for all declare we know who our peace partner in the Middle East is, and it is Israel.
Dr. Ben Carson hedged on Jerusalem as the Israeli capital, and just back from a trip to Jordan to boost his limited foreign policy experience, read a 30-minute prepared speech.
I view Israel as both our canary in the coal mine, meaning that as Israel goes, so goes Western civilization, but also as the tip of the spear in this clash.
The San Bernardino investigation may take months, but it's clear the entire Republican field has all but concluded that jihadism in the American homeland can no longer be considered theoretical. Brett.
Carl, thank you. Jeb Bush was our guest in center seat. We'll show that a little later. If you had questions, drop us a line at Facebook or /BrettBaerSR or on Twitter @BrettBaer. Use the hashtag Special Report. Hillary Clinton, meantime, took an uncomfortable but probably anticipated question today during an event in New Hampshire.
You recently came out to say that all rape victims should be believed, but would you say that about Johnita Broderick, Kathleen Wiley, and or Paula Jones? Should we believe them as well?
Well, I would say that everybody should be believed at first until they are disbelieved based on evidence.
The women mentioned have in the past accused Clinton's husband of sexual harassment, assault, or rape. Up next, an historic decision. The Pentagon officially gives the green light to women in combat. First, here's what some of our Fox affiliates around the country are covering tonight. Fox 11 in Charleston, West Virginia, where a jury has found former Massey Energy CEO Don Blankenship guilty of conspiracy connected to a deadly coal mine explosion. 29 men died in the blast at the Upper Big Branch mine in 2010. Fox 5 in New York, his 5 fifth graders in northern New Jersey are suspended after allegedly plotting to attack a high school during a field trip. Police say the kids brought a non-explosive device filled with vinegar and cinnamon to school. Teachers and administrators found written plans on how the attack would occur. No criminal charges have been filed so far. And this is a live look at Cape Canaveral, Florida tonight. One of the big stories for Fox 35 in Orlando, a weather-related delay in the scheduled launch of a rocket carrying gear to the International Space Station. The payload includes 7,000 pounds of supplies and 250 research projects. That's tonight's live look. Outside the Beltway from Special Report, we'll be right back.